So if we look at the book of Exodus in a deeper way, we realize that it is a representation of our inner spiritual journey. And taking the major figures of Exodus as parts of ourselves, we see that Moses is us, that part of us that chooses. So being a child of God, but also a prince of Egypt or a member of the world, when God calls us, it is a struggle for us to pull away from the world. So Moses struggles against Pharaoh to free his people. That is telling us that we're going to struggle against the world to free ourselves, to free our soul, to free our being from this fallen world. We have an identity in this world. It's called the ego or the shadow, and it is a mighty adversary. It is an adversary that will not let us go. Thus, let my people go. So it's the struggle against Pharaoh. It's a struggle against this ego. And because God is calling us, we're fighting to free ourselves, to go to this destination called the Promised Land. And one of the most important parts of this whole thing is the blood of the Lamb on the doors. Now, the firstborn doesn't mean children, it means the fruit of our spirit. So what is the fruit of our spirit? Is it of the world or is it of God? By putting the blood of the Lamb on the doors, it's telling us that if we receive the Spirit of Christ, if we receive the Spirit of the Father, then we are protecting our fruit, because our spirit is being regenerated into divine spirit, and so our fruit is divine, is eternal life, which is why the firstborn will survive when we put the blood of the Lamb on the doors. Now, when they reach the Red Sea, it is the waters of darkness, of human sin and karma and everything that embodies the world. When Jesus walks on the waters, he is showing that he is a master over that world. He is transcendent over that world. And when Moses parts the Red Sea, what it's saying to us is he is protected by God, because there is this circumcision of light around Moses and the people, and so they are protected from these dark waters of the fallen world. When they reach Sinai, Mount Sinai, and Moses goes up to the mountain to talk to God, what it's really saying is he is going into higher mind. He is looking up into the hills of higher mind, because that is where God is. God is not in a physical mountain, as we know, but we have to be reminded. But he is within us. And so where do we go to talk to God? We go into higher mind. We go deep into our heart, but we go up into the hills, up into the mountains of divine mind, of higher mind. That is where the light comes into us when we have our rebirth, is through the prefrontal cortex. It's the place, it's a spiritual place within our body. And so when we lift our eyes, we even feel a change of state in our emotional state. So when Moses goes to Mount Sinai, he's actually going into his higher mind to talk to God. He's in meditation with God, and he's receiving the 10 Commandments. So Aaron is the priest within us, and the priest within us does whatever he is told to do to prepare any sacrifice. So if we want to sacrifice ourselves to the world, to a golden calf, to the fallen state, that's what the priest will do. He has no decision-making ability whatsoever outside of what we want. And so the people have chosen to put their focus back on the fallen world. And Aaron has just basically followed orders. And when Moses comes back, he is angry, and he tells the Levites to slay the people. Now, what does this mean? The Levites are the priesthood. Once again, the priests will make the sacrifice to the fallen world or to the divine world, depending on where our focus is, where our worship is. So when the people worship the golden calf, they are worshiping the world, and that is a world of death. The fallen world, the golden calf world, is Egypt. It's the world of death, of humankind and the fallen state. And so the priests will slay the people, not truly killing the people, but because they are of the priesthood, they are making the sacrifice to death, to spiritual death, because it is to the fallen world. When Moses is told to make the brass serpent and to raise it up and have the people look at it, this is a raising up of the energy. Our spirit is rising. Our energy is rising up. And we are being saved through that contemplation of God, through that inner state of resurrection, of transcendence.